I have seen so many videos and read so much stuff about this idea of obsession, and I'm not sure whether humans truly comprehend what an obsession is or what the problem behind it is. But I see so many, literally so much classification. And I recently saw a video about lust, and they classified lust in four types, like a visual, mental, this and that, spiritual. And I was like, really, is that really that necessary? Like, I can't comprehend why humans are so obsessed with meaning. They classify things so much, but in the end, like the end result is still they reach nowhere. See, the biggest problem one can have with lust is their imagination. Okay? You're not having a woman issue, you're not having necessarily a mommy issue or a daddy issue. In case of lusting, for example, or any obsession, it's typically your imagination. See, your obsession started initially, most likely, most certainly, as a defensive mechanism, a coping mechanism against a certain situation. Problem is, you invested so much time and energy into it that, well, the problem may be long gone, may be long dead, but ironically speaking, well, you're still stuck into it. Yes, you're still stuck repeating that cycle, you're still stuck doing that thing, and then, it may be whatever it is drinking, smoking, masturbation, whatever one may think of. The problem is, it's just imagination. Yes? When you think about everything. Yes, the biggest problem of an obsession is that you identify imagination with reality. This is a big problem, but learning to detach from meaning is very powerful, but takes a lot of practice because at first you need a lot of patience and a lot of mindfulness. See, a lot of people say that they are very weak to women, and well, in this over sexualized society, it is obvious that, well, anyone can feel sooner or later overwhelmed by the amount of scantily dressed women or, well, content featuring them because they kind of overwhelming if you look at me, if you look at things, if you look at anything, just for a bit. Like, I think that it is overwhelming from a certain standpoint. Video games have it, movies have it, and people fail at this, yes, only because of one thing. See, when you look at movies, even a porn movie, it is nothing else but a set of images going on in a certain order that make your logical mind associate that with movement, with action, or whatever else. But in the end, it's nothing else than a set of images and sounds that each go on, and well, they are somewhat convincing, especially nowadays. They are very convincing that they may actually look real. They have been studied and specifically designated to give your eyes and, well, your visual perception and ultimately your brain the impression that whatever you see in those movies is obviously, something truly happening. Then you get a lot of people, unfortunately, who mistake that for reality and they end up investing emotionally. And you see people crying that a certain character has perished or that something unexpected happened, they get afraid, or this and that. Let's not forget movies, just like any other kind of information, can also be used as a construct for occult purposes, but this one for another video. And the point is, every time you see something that you think you are weak against, every time you'd have to face your obsession, just remember that it is just your fucking imagination. You're not weak to women. Women, they can be as hot as they want, as hot as the devil may want. They don't have any fucking power over you. And girls, a hot man doesn't have any sexual power over you. It is just your imagination. The biggest problem is that people forget that there are layers to life. There is simply thinking about something, attaching emotions to that, getting used to doing this, which is kind of a problem, and then perceiving everything through your mind. When a certain thoughts, when a certain thought reaches your mind and you invest a bit too much into it, then it becomes a cycle that you can't rid yourself of. You will never rid yourself of cycles because a thought, once you have given birth to it and thought of it a few times, you have created a cycle. That is why each and every thought that you've had in your life, sooner or later, will come back to your mind. Or that is why you get so many thoughts that you are conscious of that repeat. Sometimes you have thoughts that you took from others. Yes, you never recognized them, maybe you forgot about them, or you simply picked them up from others through empathy, because everyone has at least a minor level of empathy. Yes, and you're picking up energy from others because energy is contagious. Yes. So the point is, when a certain thought reaches your mind, the fertile soil of your mind, and you're not mindful of what you allow to think, of what you invest emotionally towards, then you create cycles that you're not going to be able to rid yourself of. Now, this is the big secret. You do not fight an obsession because fighting an obsession means something else. Logically, you are being taught by narcissistic fuckers that you have to fight your obsession. Think about the medieval and ancient times, yes? A person wouldn't want their spouse to have sex with other people, and then you had certain means of prevention. I think they were called chastity devices or the such. There were versions for men and for women, but that was the whole point. The whole point of that is a psychological trap, just like the society that you're living in. It is something that gives you an illusion of a reward, but it doesn't do anything because it doesn't solve the issue. Your imagination makes you think that if you do certain things for people, enough certain things for people, you will be allowed a reward. It is the same principle behind video games. Well, it functions a bit different psychologically, but the principle is the same. The illusion of obtaining something for a certain cost. And it is also that which drives people very mad about RPG games, or well, obsessed rather, not necessarily mad. Yes, because they function by this principle so much. Yes, they also give you the illusion of a progress, much like slot machines. Yes, you always get the impression that you can win with the next tap of a button. And these are just traps. They are designed to give you an illusion, but they are always made against you. Because if you don't conquer this idea of your imagination, if you don't convince yourself, just like you have convinced yourself that if you do that, you will win, you will get something, you will get attention, or whatever, yes, the merits that you think you deserve, or you expect even, yes, that imagination will play against you. That is the only power that your enemy has against you, your stupid imagination. Imagination is almost limitless, yes, and it will constantly create based on what you know. Yes, simply pretending that you don't know is not going to work. But consciously speaking, you can simply choose what direction to direct your mind, because you have to understand your mind does not have any awareness. It can create, yes, but it doesn't have any awareness. You, as a piece of life, must use the discernment of this physical body of yours to decide what you have to think about. Yes, a lot of people's imagination runs haywire because people simply choose to be unconscious. They choose to be ignorant about where they direct their details. Yes, I have done a video somewhat on this. It's a 17 minutes long video or something a few days ago. Um, and well, I discussed some things in there. So the very simple point is once you learn to understand your imagination and how it is influencing you, because your imagination told you that you do that and you will be safe. You do this and you will survive. Yes? It sounds very innocent and simple, but you have to comprehend one thing. People with abandonment issues will always end up suffering from feminine and or even masculine wounded energies. Yes? Both of these function exactly on the same principle as the toxic mother, toxic father. Yes? Especially toxic mother. The toxic mother is the one that thinks they must give everything to someone specifically or to anyone else, and then they will receive something. Yes? But this is done always at the expense of the self. Yes, they mistreat themselves, but still desperately seek to give others whatever they have just so that they can, gain some attention. Yes, this also becomes a dangerous game because when they receive things or when they give things to others, well, they also have the impression that they can also win some control. It depends based on their imagination what they seek, whether they seek some sensuality, whether they seek control or whatever else. Yes. So the point is, the biggest problem of your obsessions is just that bit of imagination. Yes. Why not start using your imagination instead to show yourself as a successful person? And think a bit about that and find means to achieve that. There are people in this world that use AI to create coloring books and sell them on Amazon. Might not be the biggest buck maker, but it is still something. Yes, once someone starts to use, for example, a business mindset where your imagination suddenly gets prompted towards a few, two or three things that you would like to do each and every day, but fully focus on those instead of just doom scrolling and wasting your energy and spending your life unproductively. Yes, that is the difference in between successful people and people who still slack off. Yes, because whatever one has to do with their life, well, it is their own business, not mine. But the very simple point is, I just delivered you this point. Because I'm not seeing this any fucking where in psychologists, psychiatrists, or anything else. Like, why do I have to feel like the one that provides something in 10 minutes while others just babble around for hours? And it's like you even have to pay for them, but they still don't provide you a certain piece of information that you might need. I'm not offering the ultimate truth, most likely, but based on my own research, let's call it, on the human machine and, well, my own experiences with such spiritually and, well, let's say from certain stance of empathy, research on others, I can tell you just that. Yes, your imagination is yet the problem. You're not making use of it correctly, so why not actually start using it for something else? Your imagination gives you free movies in the end. The fear of certain things, of certain stuff happening, and or whatever else, that is just free cinema. Why not just change the channel to something, like the only reason why people slack and they don't use their imagination for success is because they don't feel worthy of success and they also feel afraid. What if they actually become successful and start gaining money? They don't feel afraid. Also, the problem is they don't want to be successful because they are comfortable with their own pains, with their own suffering. Yes. So, this is something else. Yes. They imagine that life is as good as can be in this comfort. Yes. Because they know the script. They suffer, they don't have enough money, they overspend, then they live life on the edge. They always know the same thing goes on and, people don't change much. So if we are to think a bit about life, well, imagination has to be made use of. Yes. If you don't make use of your own resources, someone else will find the means to make use of those. Yes. That's why the job system was created. Because the ignorants choose not to do anything with their lives, well, they become the batteries that fuel other people's dreams. Yes. So hopefully this video raised a bit of awareness. You are appreciated, take care, and remember, much of your life starts with your imagination. Imagination is just a spark. It is the spark of the engine. And if you look at things more clearly, it is actually the engine itself. But action is the fuel. An engine does not function without fuel. So your action decides what will happen. Yes? Hopefully this video raised a bit of awareness. Take care. Enjoy life. This being said, Ferenjan Board signing out.